Two childhood friends on a dream holiday, fishing with a guide in the Sea of Cortez. But when their boat crashes on a remote Mexican island, their trip becomes a nightmare ordeal.
We're out of food, we're out of water. Now we got nothing.
Exposed to the harshest of environments, these self-proclaimed city boys must rely on each other to survive.
We could die here. And nobody is ever gonna find my bones.
Jump! I can't do it! You get over here! Jump now! Get him up! No! Come in. Come on, let's go.
Joe Rangel is on a dream fishing cruise in Mexico's Sea of Cortez.
I've always been pretty much of a city boy. I like going outdoors, I like going fishing, I love going fishing. And when I started going on these trips, I found my niche. To me, that is the greatest trip in the world, is to go down there for 6 days, get on a boat, and forget everything. Just fish till you drop.
To share the experience, he's invited his childhood friend, Lorenzo Madrid, along for the trip.
I first met Lorenzo Madrid when we were in junior high school.
Hey, Larry.
What?
Look at that. See the
We were pretty much good time boys.
Oh, yeah, she's got your beard.
Hey, shut it. He was a good guy to hang around with.
All aboard.
The men are based on a tour ship anchored off Guardian Angel Island, 20 miles from the Mexican coast. The east side of the island is popular with fishing tours, but today their local guide, Pepe, is taking them to a remote cove on the more exposed western coast.
It's quiet, it's desolate, you're all alone.
She comes, come on.
It's like fishing nowhere else in the world.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
It's fantastic.
I can't believe it. Look at that, Joe. Try another lure.
Get out of here. You think I don't know what I'm doing?
Well, how many have you caught today?
Nothing.
The detour to the remote side of the island pays off. After a successful day's catch, the two friends are more than happy with their guide, Pepe.
He's a nice kid. He's outgoing, willing to please. Pepe did not speak any English at all.
What'd he say?
The bucket's too small, man.
The bucket's too small.
Sí, vamos.
As the sun starts to set, it's time to head back to the tour boat.
Hey, Outback.
We just sat down and opened the beer and get the ride back to the big boat.
But when Pepe swings south, the boys begin to wonder if they're heading in the right direction. The tour boat was anchored on the northern tip of the island.
Hey, should we go?
No, I don't think so. Yeah. This does look familiar to me.
Pepe, ¿dónde vas?
So I asked him, isn't the boat back there?
Vamos bien, el Celiangelina se fue para el sur mientras ustedes andaban pescando.
Sí.
And he said, no. While you guys were fishing, the boat passed us. And they went this way.
I didn't say it.
Nah, me neither.
We figured he's a professional, he knows what he's doing, he knows where he's at. And we left it at that.
But after an hour, motoring south along the island's coastline, There's still no sign of the tour boat. And Pepe has more immediate concerns.
Joe! Ya no hay gasolina.
¿Cómo queda la poca gasolina?
He tells us, I think I'm running out of gas.
What's up?
No fuel is what's up.
It just gets better.
It was a bad situation. It was dangerous.
They have just minutes before the engine cuts out. And without power, Joe knows they can't steer the boat and could easily be swept out to sea by the currents.
I said, let's beach this while you have power.
Pepe, vamos a la playa.
¿Qué playa? Pura roca, no puedo para allá.
Their only hope is to make it to land. But the island's coastline is a fortress of jagged rocks and sheer cliff faces.
He said, there's no beaches. This whole island is rocks.
They know they have no option but to try to reach the shore.
Between the current and the sharks, I'd rather take my chances on land than out in the water.
Vamos.
No me quiero estrellar, no puedo estrellar.
Vamos con ella. A la playa, vamos.
The only thing you can see is the white of the pounding water on the rocks. We were scared.
Their only way to reach land is to power the boat directly into the raging surf. But just as it seems they'll make it safely,
a surge of water hit me from behind and forced me into the rocks.
the men make it to shore. But they're now stranded on the island, with no way of calling for rescue.
Larry, hold on there.
You're totally soaked, the wind is blowing, and we started shivering down to the bone.
Bring it back.
The men search for driftwood and build a fire,
Made a fire before.
using up their last few drops of fuel to get it going.
Once we got the fire going, we were able to dry off, and it wasn't all that unbearable anymore.
Not so bad now, Larry.
We knew it should have been an easy thing for the big boat to pick us up the next morning.
It's calls for a beer.
The men resign themselves to a night out in the open, believing their stay on the island will be a short one.
Boat will pick us up in the morning. We out.
They spend the next morning waiting to be collected.
My guess was that we would be picked up no later than noon. All we have to do is just wait, and the boat should be here.
Midday comes, and there's no sign of rescue.
Now it's getting a little bit more serious as the day is wearing on. We need to get out of here.
Mid-afternoon, and Pepe drops a bombshell.
I said, well, I don't think they're gonna pick us up.
The men are washed up on the side of the island that fishing boats never visit. Their tour boat won't look for them here.
They're not gonna come this way. They're not gonna look for us. It's like somebody just pulled the bottom out from under you.
La única manera de salir de aquí es si nosotros hacemos algo al respecto.
¿Qué hacemos?
What's he saying?
He said the only way we're gonna get off of here is if we do something ourselves.
Pepe comes up with an audacious plan to get them back to the mainland.
Si no tiene agua, pero la podemos sacar con la cubeta. Si a Larry le podemos dar la cubeta, nos remos, se puede buscar para...
He says we can bail it out. Get it on the sea. Maybe we can use it.
Is he serious?
He said, we can take this boat across. We can row across.
Larry, ¿puedo sacar con la cubeta?
Between the three of us, we can get it over there.
With no fuel for the boat's engine, they'll have to row to the mainland. But it's a 20-mile journey across open seas.
It was an unbearable hot day, probably close to 100, but it felt good to be doing something.
Out. Get the rhythm. Keep this up, guys.
We actually thought we could make it.
For 2 punishing hours, the men row in the intense heat, their hands torn by the rough driftwood paddles.
I'm getting exhausted. I am getting to the point where I'm just gonna drop.
As the sun dips towards the horizon, the men's stubborn determination finally pays off.
¿Qué es eso? Mira, para allá, barcos. ¡Hay barcos!
Aquí!
You can see people on boats. They didn't hear us. They didn't hear us. They didn't look. They didn't do anything.
They can't see us. Joe, keep paddling.
The men push on, hoping to close the distance to the shore. They make progress for another hour. But from nowhere, they're gripped by a powerful undercurrent.
We're going backwards. What? We're going back. What do you mean?
It's a very strong current. It's a really strong current.
So far away.
Now we couldn't make any headway.
The tide has turned, and it's pulling them backwards.
Come on, Joe, come on!
We're trying frantically to row faster.
Come on, take it on.
Come on! Come on! It's not that far! No, we're not moving.
We are in some deep trouble.
As night falls, the men give in to their exhaustion. But as they sleep, they're being dragged back ever closer towards the rocky shores of the island.
Joe, Larry, despierten. Nos vamos contra la roca.
Joe! Joe, wake up! It rocks! Stop paddling, buddy! Come on now! Come on!
The current was gonna take us wherever it wanted. We're gonna crash, and we're gonna crash hard.
Joe and Pepe make it safely to shore. But Lorenzo is thrown violently onto the rocks, severely spraining both of his ankles. The 3 men's attempt to escape the island has failed, and their boat is now completely wrecked.
We didn't talk much that night. Lorenzo and I were pretty down in the dumps. We were depressed.
400 miles away, in California, Joe's wife receives a phone call.
That was when I learned that they were missing. I just was gone. I can't even describe it. It was like, you know, my feet were kicked out from me.
Joe and Lorenzo wake up, knowing they are completely stranded on the barren, uninhabited island.
There was nothing there, nothing that could give you shade. There was just nothing.
Their only hope now is to be found by a search party. But they are in no physical condition for a prolonged wait.
I was somewhat overweight, and I had found out about a year earlier that I was diabetic.
Joe suffers from type 2 diabetes, a condition where the normal levels of sugar in the blood can decrease rapidly. It's commonplace, but potentially life-threatening if not managed properly. And 50-year-old Lorenzo is unfit and grossly overweight.
Lorenzo may have had health issues. I pressed him on it, but he said no, that he didn't. But then at the same time, he told me that he hadn't been to a doctor for years.
As they face a third night out in the open, Pepe again insists that help is not coming.
He just kept saying that the only way that we're getting out of here is if we get ourselves out of here.
He says they ain't coming.
And as the night wears on, Joe and Lorenzo finally accept they are now totally on their own.
I felt that the world had abandoned us.
After 2 days of waiting for rescue, the men must take their survival into their own hands and hike to the northern tip, where tourist boats will be moored. But it's a daunting journey.
This island's 20 by 40 miles. It's uninhabited. There's nobody there. Pepe told us that there probably is commercial fishermen or the tail end of the tourist boats at the northern end of the island. And if we get there, we will be picked up.
But the men have no idea how far down the coast they are. And they could face a 40-mile hike along the entire length of the island.
The coast, as I saw, was the only logical choice. Nobody is going to go inland to look for us.
Through the burning afternoon, the men pick their way over the broken rocks.
Come on, man. You're doing good. I know it hurts, man.
But the hike is taking a toll on Lorenzo's sprained ankles.
Lorenzo realized how hurt his feet were.
Oh, God! Oh, God!
But we couldn't stop. We had to keep going.
Since morning, they've shared some of their meager supplies, dried fruit and a few sips of their remaining water. The lack of food is causing Joe's blood sugar level to plummet, bringing on the first symptoms of diabetes. Clumsiness, trembling, and a feeling of extreme weakness.
I'm tired, I'm hungry, I'm thirsty.
Come on, man. We can make this. Come on. Okay. Keep going. Okay.
The men press on, but after just 3 miles, their plan hits trouble. Their route north has come to a dead end. They can go no further.
We're saying to ourselves, what the hell did we do now?
La corriente ahorita está pesada, pero con cuidado podemos cruzar. Yo salto primero para que vean cómo.
Pepe said, you know what? I'm gonna swim across. Between the current and rocks, I didn't think he had much of a chance to make it.
The men know that beneath the surface, powerful currents are ripping through this ocean inlet. But Pepe makes it across.
Wish me luck, buddy.
But seriously overweight Lorenzo has 2 sprained ankles and quickly starts to struggle.
It's a really strong current. The water surge got him and started taking him under.
Joe! I did it! Joe!
Now it's Joe's turn.
I know I'm not a strong swimmer.
Joe, jump!
But he's paralyzed with fear.
Joey!
The hell with it. I'm not doing this.
After a day's hiking, with little food, Joe's blood sugar level is crashing, bringing on extreme confusion.
Come on, Joe! Stay here! Joe!
I just said, you guys go ahead, go on. I'm just gonna die here.
I can't do it! Joe! What's the matter with you?
It was terrifying because I was afraid of getting pounded on the rocks.
You get over here! Jump now! Joe!
Lorenzo encouraged me the way that we always talk, challenging each other,
Jump, jump, jump for me! Gotta stay here.
daring each other to do something.
Joe!
And Lorenzo said, don't be a sissy.
Jump now!
And I just thought to myself, what, you know, if you're gonna die, die trying.
Yes, Joe! Yes! Come on, buddy! Come on, Joe! Joe, come on, buddy! Joe!
I was a sissy for nothing.
How far do you think we got today, Larry?
A 4th night brings respite from the heat. But now totally out of food, and having finished their last bottle of water, the situation is becoming desperate. And their thoughts turn to their families back home.
I had my wife and my kids and a new grandchild to get back to. Lorenzo had his wife, his dad, his sisters.
In California, Joe's wife is already beginning to fear the worst.
It's hard to explain, but it was almost I lost half of me and my heart had been completely ripped right out of my chest.
In desperation, she sends her son down to Mexico to join the search party.
I wanted my son to go find out what happened to his dad.
As yet another day dawns, the men face the blistering heat with no water. Only fishing boats to the north can save them.
We have to do whatever it takes to get to the northern end of the island.
But they have no idea how much more of the coast they must navigate to get there. And Lorenzo is finding the pain of his sprained ankles unbearable.
Come on. You're gonna get there, man. Get you a nice big deal.
Joe! Ow!
I can't. Don't, please don't touch me. I can't do this anymore.
He finally just said, "No, I can't do this."
No!
I can't go any further. I can't do this.
Lorenzo was very upset.
I can't go any further.
He felt that he let us down.
Joe, lo tenemos que cargar. Si nos quedamos aquí, nos morimos.
Momento.
We realized that Lorenzo's mobility is pretty much down to zero. But we somehow needed to keep moving.
I can't walk.
We'll get you out of here, Larry.
Joe knows they must find a way to transport crippled Lorenzo. But all they have to work with is the junk washed up on the shore.
Pepe! Voy a hacer una lanza! Esta vez!
Pepe had an idea about building a raft. He said, we'll be able to float Lorenzo through the water. We found some floats from old fishing nets.
Duro, Joe. ¿Más apretado? Ya. Duro. Dale.
It's ready, Larry?
Yes, sir.
We wanted him to not have to put any pressure on his feet. And it worked.
Come on, guys, we can do this.
Try to put your weight over to your right.
Okay, I got it.
Lorenzo didn't say anything, but I know in his heart that he was grateful.
The men struggle along the scorched coastline. But 5 days of exposure to the relentless sun are putting huge pressure on Lorenzo's grossly overweight body. And his heart strains to keep him cool. Joe is fighting the effects of his diabetes. And having not drunk anything for 18 hours, his craving for water is becoming too much to bear.
This can't go on. We can't do this.
I gotta get off.
In desperation, Pepe returns to the trash washed up on the shoreline.
I said, look what I found in this blackish looking water. What the hell's that? The only water that was available on that island was from castaway bottles. Once you get thirsty enough, it didn't matter that that water stunk. It still tasted good. It was water.
But in these extreme conditions, a few mouthfuls a day is barely enough to keep them alive. Without enough fluid, their bodies are at serious risk of overheating. And floating above the cooling effects of the sea, Lorenzo is especially vulnerable. After another whole day battling through the water, there's still no sign of the fishing boats that will end their ordeal. Then, Pepe spots something among the rocks. This could be the sign of life they've been looking for.
The first thing that went through my mind was, I'm out of here. But then I see my tackle box from the first day.
The men realize it's their own fishing tackle. They're back at the camp where they first beached 4 days ago.
Our hearts just sank. We're back to the starting point. And now we're exhausted, we're out of food, we're out of water. Now we got nothing.
As the day turns into yet another night, Lorenzo's morale plunges even further.
I think it took a toll on Lorenzo. It started getting negative.
It's all right, Larry. We ain't gonna let this thing beat us.
Joe brought Lorenzo on this trip to share his taste for adventure. But now, he can see his friend is starting to crack.
We are gonna see our families again. You and me, I am gonna look after you, Larry.
And I told Lorenzo, we're not dying here. We're getting out of this. We're going home. It's just time. Just hang in there.
The three men have managed to keep themselves going for 8 days. But in scorching temperatures, and with no food and hardly any water, injured Lorenzo is weakening by the hour.
Staying on like that?
Yeah. I saw him as my friend who needed my help. That's it. We would go in the water about 6:30 in the morning and start moving north. It was very slow progress. Sometimes we wouldn't go more than a mile or two in a day. Around 1 or 2, we would start looking for a place where we could spend the night.
It's an excruciating routine, made even harder by the fact that their scavenged water supply is running out.
Those castaway bottles kept us alive. But as the days went on, we were finding less and less water.
Water!
We found maybe 6 ounces a day, maybe, that we would have to split 3 ways.
So,
When their precious few drops of water finally run out, they know they won't survive in this heat for much longer. Their hike north is now a race against time.
I never really thought survival was as difficult as it is.
After a week stumbling through the water, Joe has deep cuts in his legs. They're becoming infected, and blood poisoning is now a real threat. If it sets in, it could kill him within hours.
This could be a lost cause. I could die here. And I told him, look, I'm gonna write a letter to my wife and my kids in case something happens to me. I love you all. Don't blame anybody of what happened to me. I put myself in the situation and I died here, but it's just something that happened.
Joe asks Lorenzo if he too wants to write a message to his loved ones.
Hey, Larry. No. I don't want to do that right now.
And he said, no, I don't want to do that. Not yet. I don't want to be doing this. Maybe he didn't want to really face a situation we're in or what the outcome might be.
Ravenously hungry, the three men are desperate for anything to eat. Joe resorts to pulling tiny sea snails from the rocks.
I gave one to Lorenzo. I go, here, eat it. And he looked at it and said, I'm not going to eat that. I knew that he had to have something, but at the same time, I can't force it down his throat. He'd have to eat it because he wanted to.
When the sun is gone, the temperature plummets. So far, they've kept warm with driftwood fires. But now, disaster strikes.
What happened? It broke.
The lyre it just fell apart in his hands. The salt water had just eaten it.
From now on, the men have only each other to keep warm. With death closing in, the men are unaware their families have been searching for them. But they've joined the rescue teams that believe the men are fishing on the east side of the island. After 6 days searching, Joe's son calls home with devastating news.
He says, I can't find him. He's not there, Mom. I don't know if we'll ever find him. And he was heartbroken.
After 8 days missing, the search is finally abandoned. The men are feared lost at sea.
I had given up hope. The reality of it was he was dead and wasn't coming back.
The men struggle on northwards. But still, there's no sign of any fishing boats. Lorenzo is becoming increasingly depressed and irrational.
Stop! We gotta go back. I lost my glasses. We gotta go back. I want my glasses.
Things are gonna be okay.
He just totally panicked. He lost it.
They're my glasses. I need my glasses. You got me. I need my glasses. I need my glasses.
I'm trying to convince him, okay, look, now I'll be your eyes. But there's no consoling him. For him, it was the end of the world.
Can't go by the last.
What?
Lorenzo was starting to lose touch with reality.
Joe. Let's switch.
Lorenzo asked me if he could be on back of the raft. He wanted to trade places with me.
I want to go behind for a while. Okay?
Delirious with dehydration, Joe takes up his friend's offer of a ride, without realizing how desperate Lorenzo's condition has become.
I heard a gurgling noise behind me.
Larry! Larry!
And I turned around,
Larry!
and his head is underwater.
Larry! What are you doing? Larry! Larry!
I told Pepe, he's in trouble. We must get him out of the water.
Ayúdame, Joe. Joe, ayúdame. Joe, agárrale los brazos.
Larry! Larry! Get him up! Larry!
Larry, está bien.
I'm talking to him, and there's no response.
Larry!
Larry.
The look on his face it wasn't right.
Larry!
I start checking for a pulse. I checked his neck, his wrist. It was just nothing.
After 12 days, battling to stay alive, Lorenzo has finally succumbed.
I told Pepe he's dead. He passed away. He just died, and I couldn't do anything. That's probably the worst moment of my life. At first, I was angry that he abandoned me. We should be seeing this through the end. But then I realized it was a big ordeal for him. And his body just gave out.
Joe decides to leave his best friend's body on the beach, in full view of the ocean and any passing boat.
I want him found. I want his body found, even if it's just skeleton. I want him to be found, be taken home.
I'm gonna come back for you.
I said my goodbyes to him, and I told him that I have to leave. It broke my heart.
Joe and Pepe struggle to keep moving north, barely clinging to life with every step.
We were living moment by moment. It was no longer, can I do the 10 more feet? It was right now, can I take another step?
Battling his diabetes, it's a miracle that Joe has survived 13 days without food or proper water. But now he fears the end is near, and he faces an agonizing, anonymous death.
If I die, nobody is ever gonna find my bones. I was at rock bottom. Pepe turns around and yells at me, "Did you see that boat?" He was very excited. I didn't think there was a boat. I thought he was hallucinating. All of a sudden, I'm alone.
Joe and Pepe are finally saved by two Mexican fishermen.
It was exhilarating to see this boat. Thank God this is over. I was relieved, like a big burden had been lifted off my shoulder.
That afternoon, Joe's wife, Margaret, gets a call from her son.
He says, "They found Dad. He walked out this morning. The fisherman picked him up. He's okay." I mean, I was elated, but at the same time, I just knew that there was more wrong. He told me that Lorenzo has passed away. And I says, "Oh my God."
Seeing my wife, my son, my daughter, all of them, it was great. I just felt bad that Lorenzo wasn't there to share it.
Lorenzo's body was recovered and taken back to his wife and family in the US.
If Lorenzo had gone one more day, he would have been with us. He'd be here now.
When Matthew McGough and his daughter Shannon get lost in the Australian Outback, their camping trip descends into a living hell.
Shannon, get out! Run now!
It was the worst moment of my life.
Matthew faces a desperate battle to save his daughter.
It was just like, it's hopeless. We weren't going to make it.
In one of the most hostile places on Earth,
We played together, laughed together, cried together, and now we're going to die together.
Hey, sweetheart, you ready? Yeah.
in a remote town in Western Australia, Matthew McGough and his young daughter Shannon are about to set off for an overnight fishing trip.
Shannon's my only child. We had a really good relationship, really real friends as well as father and daughter. Got on along really well. We always used to laugh and play together a lot.
For Shannon, trips away with her dad are always something to look forward to.
And we are off ski.
Me and my dad were pretty close. We used to go away on weekends a lot.
Mom, we're going!
We'd go fishing, bushwalking, go camping and stuff, because that was the kind of thing he liked to do.
Be safe.
Matthew is recently separated from his wife, Irene. But she knows how much Matthew cares for Shannon, and she's more than happy to see them spend time together.
Shannon loved camping, and so they used to quite regularly go on camping trips and nothing ever happened, so there was never any reason to worry.
We're off, sweetheart.
They live in a small town on the edge of Australia's Great Victoria Desert, a terrain Matthew knows well.
The only way to get to see the countryside is to get off the beaten track. And that's the ruling I've always lived by.
Oh, wow.
The plan today is to drive just 40 miles into the Outback, camp for the night, and head back the next day.
I got further than you.
No, you didn't.
Yes,
No, you didn't.
Matthew wants to make this trip an extra special one, as he's about to move 1,500 miles away, and this may be their last weekend together for some time. So he takes Shannon to his favourite rock pool.
It was our last trip. We were going to see each other for a while, so that's made it a bit more special.
Well, it's just a case of spend some time with Shannon for the last week or so before I took off.
Have you caught anything, Dad?
Nothing yet, sweetheart. Maybe later, eh?
That night, father and daughter enjoy an idyllic evening together in the Outback.
One of my favourite parts was probably laying like under the stars and like watching them, and Dad would point out things that he knew from his childhood.
Yeah, just check out the stars and the moon and listen to all the nightlife coming out to play.
Like a kind of a bonding thing, which was good.
Right, let's go, sweetheart.
The next morning, they're due to head back home. It's been a great trip, but one thing is missing. They haven't caught any fish.
Shannon sort of looked up underneath the hair and you could see she was a little bit disappointed.
So before returning Shannon home, Matthew decides to take a detour to try and catch her some fish.
Listen, sweetheart, I've got an idea. Jump in.
I sort of had a bit of an idea where there was another dam, a fair way away, but yeah, had a general idea about where to go.
Getting to the fishing spot means heading a further 50 miles away from civilization, far deeper into the Outback. It's a vast expanse of desert, covering more than 100,000 square miles. Dangerous and inhospitable, one of the hottest places on Earth.
The Australian outback is an unforgiving place. It's very harsh. The heat, you're looking 45 degrees Celsius, stinking hot, simple as that.
But Matthew is confident that he knows the area well and has come well prepared.
About 20 litres of water, spare tyres, food, tent and all that. I reckon I took pretty much all I needed to take.
Matthew and Shannon drive for over 2 hours, deeper and deeper into the desert. But there's no sign of the waterhole.
We're just pretty much going through a bush track, not well defined on the ground or anything. It's just virtually a couple of wheel tracks going through the scrub.
His 4x4 is a tough vehicle, But Matthew is driving in ever rougher terrain.
You're kidding me. You stay here, it's all right.
What happened, Dad?
It's a tyre. It's no problem.
Matthew has come well prepared and has 3 spare tyres on board.
I wasn't in particularly good mood of changing a tyre at that time of the day. I was sweating, yeah, I was bloody soaked to the bone.
It's all right, it's all done. You all right? Yeah, that's good. Let's go.
With the tyre fixed and 2 more spares in the back, Matthew is still confident he can find the fishing spot. But the desert is strewn with boulders and sharp rocks.
What was that, Dad?
It's the tyre.
I'd only gone a couple of miles and then I had to change another tyre.
It's now mid-afternoon. The hottest time of the day, with temperatures hitting 115 degrees Fahrenheit. And Matthew begins to have doubts about his quest to search for the rock pool.
I was just wondering whether it was all worth it or not, pretty much.
But still eager to live up to the promise he made to Shannon, Matthew decides to press on.
We'll be fine. Let's get going.
By my calculations, we're about halfway from where we'd come from to where we were going. And what's the point of turning around? Might as well continue on.
By late afternoon, and 60 miles out into the desert, Matthew fears he's losing his way.
I'm sure it's around here someplace.
I sort of run out of road, I lost me track. I was sort of a little bit worried that we hadn't got to where we were going.
I could actually tell that Dad was worried. I knew something serious was going on.
With just 1 spare tyre left, Matthew abandons his quest to go fishing and decides that it's time to get Shannon home.
I had 1 more spare tyre, but the way I was going through the tyres, I didn't think I had enough.
Dad. Are we gonna be all right?
Daddy again, home.
I was pretty peeved about the idea of getting a 3rd puncher, again in a stinging heat.
Matthew knows that the 4x4 is their only way out. But with no more spares, another puncture could be fatal. With hundreds of miles of scorching desert all around, there's no way they could ever walk out of here alive.
You all right, sweetheart?
Yep.
Good. Right, let's go.
Are we lost, Daddy?
Shannon said, "Are we lost, Dad?" And I said, "Oh, I think so. No use lying to her, you know."
Matthew presses on, hoping to come across a track which will lead them to safety. But just when he thinks he's making progress, the 4x4 suddenly stops in its tracks.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
What happened, Dad?
I started rubbing my head, thinking, what the was going on? Why me? Why such bad luck?
Jump out, sweetheart. We are not going anywhere.
We've run out of track, we've run out of spares, we're stuck. I was supposed to have Shannon back that night, and we weren't going back that night. There was no way in the world.
As darkness falls, Matthew and Shannon have no choice but to camp out for the night.
Oh, I mean, if it had been just me, it wouldn't have been no matter, but I had Shannon with me. She was my main concern. She's always my main concern when she's with me.
And in the remote outback, he's unable to call his ex-wife.
If I could have phoned home, I would have, but no reception. Absolutely no signal whatsoever. At that point, I was thinking that, I might have made the wrong decision by not turning around and going back.
Okay, fine. Let's get going.
I was calling myself the biggest idiot under the sun.
Morning brings with it fresh hope. The cold of the night has hardened the ground enough for Matthew to free the 4x4.
We did it, sweetheart. Well done. That's it.
We were feeling really good. It was great to get out. No worries at all. Pretty happy that we're going to get underway again.
Woo! We are going home.
Yeah.
Woo!
But they've hardly got moving when disaster strikes again.
Mayday, sweetheart.
Another puncher. I was cranky. Man, was I cranky. Got no more spares. And, we is in trouble. Big time.
What happened, Dad?
That's all right, sweetheart. I've got a plan.
Matthew knows that driving with only one flat tire at the rear will put massive strain on the car's axle. So he does what he has to keep it moving. He lets down one of his inflated, good tires. He also tries to hide from Shannon the seriousness of their predicament.
You all right, Dad?
We're home soon, sweetheart. Home soon.
So I ended up having 2 tight tyres on the front and 2 flat tyres on the back.
Okay. We're off. Let's jump in.
They crawl along at only 5 miles an hour, completely lost in the vast, burning desert.
I was in four-wheel drive and I was just pushing along, straightened the steering wheel up and just kept going.
We'll be fine. Yeah.
But running the car on 2 flat tires in this scorching heat is putting enormous strain on the engine.
We're in four-wheel drive, which brings up the revs of the engine a little bit. And because I was concentrating on what I was doing, I wasn't watching the temperature of the radiator, and it boiled.
Matthew now faces a huge dilemma. Their car is their only means of escape, but will go no further without water.
We had to put some water in the radiator, otherwise I would have cooked tomato.
But he has only 20 litres left, and in the raging heat of the Outback, water is the key to survival. It's a huge risk, but Matthew is determined to get Shannon out of the desert and home safely.
I put 10 litres of water in the radiator and I kept 10 litres for Shannon and myself.
Right.
Matthew struggles on, but the strain on the engine is massive, and it soon needs even more of his dwindling water supply.
The car just seemed to be overheating all the time, and my dad really didn't make out that it was a big deal. I'm sure inside he was probably really scared himself, but he didn't let it show.
By midday, the desert temperature hits 115 degrees.
Whether it was an electrical fault or whether it was dry grass pushed up around underneath the hot exhaust system, I don't know, but I noticed smoke coming out from underneath the bonnet.
Shut up! Shut it! Get out! Run now! Keep running back!
He has just seconds to grab whatever possessions he can
Stay right, buddy!
before the car explodes into flames.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
They can do nothing as they watch the car burn. Their only means of escape is destroyed.
And we just sat there and watched it burn, and I was giving her a cuddle and trying to reassure her that we'd be right. Yeah, she was scared. She was very scared, yeah.
What started as an innocent fishing trip has turned to disaster. Matthew's only way of getting Shannon out of the desert is gone.
He just looked really worried, and I don't know, there was just a vibe about him. He wasn't his normal happy self, so I could tell something was wrong.
What's wrong, Daddy?
I told her there and then that we were lost. Good time, big time. That I'd do everything that I could to get us out of the mess.
I'm gonna get you home, okay? I promise.
I couldn't whinge or complain about it. I had to be determined and had to be brave because there wasn't really much else I could do.
It's been 36 hours since Shannon was due home. Her mum Irene has called the police, and they've launched a search.
Hello? Nothing at all?
But there's still no sign of Shannon and her dad.
All right. All right, just let me know, all right?
It was just really, really scary. I couldn't sleep. I was just worrying where they are, and there's nothing you can do. You want to do something, but you can't.
The fire has taken almost all their possessions. They're left with just the outer cover of their tent, a few tins of food, and just 2 litres of water.
I knew water was going to be a fairly big issue. We didn't have a lot of water.
In the sweltering heat, Shannon is already suffering the effects of dehydration.
I remember my skin felt really dry and tired and having headaches and feeling dizzy.
In these extreme conditions, an average person needs at least 1 litre of water per hour.
I sort of thought then that Shannon was going to have to keep an eye on what she drank, you know, like I had to ration her. And again, I still wasn't drinking much. I'd probably have a sip here and there, and that was it. Sort of try and conserve the water for Shannon more than me. I probably needed it more than she did, but hey, it's not the way you think at the time.
Matthew set out wanting to make his weekend with Shannon a special one. But he now knows they're both in big trouble.
I was not real happy with myself. I was the driver, I was the dad. It was my fault that we were there. But can't dwell on it too much, got to do something about it, and that's all there was to it, and that's what I was going to do.
It's been 2 days since the car caught fire, and Matthew is determined to get Shannon to safety. But stranded in the endless expanse of Outback, their situation is looking bleaker with every passing hour. Then, on the horizon, Matthew spots something. It's an old radio tower, a possible lifeline.
And I thought maybe I could get up there and get some mobile phone reception, you know, get up high, get a signal.
He knows the best chance of them being rescued is to stay put.
The golden rule in the Outback is don't leave your vehicle. If somebody is in the area and can find you, they'll come to that vehicle.
But he also knows that they're now so far from their original fishing spot that any search party could take days to find them.
The golden rule goes out of the window when you don't think there's any possible chance of anybody finding you where you are.
Sweetheart, we're gonna get going.
With precious little water left, Matthew is not prepared to sit and wait and risk watching his daughter die.
I had to sort of think about how to get us out of there, so...
Look at the water?
It seemed the right thing to do to head for that hill.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
But distances in the Outback are deceiving. And already severely dehydrated in the 115-degree heat, it's a decision that could kill them.
didn't seem that far away, but because it was so hot, we had to stop heaps and heaps of times.
It's all right. It's all right. That's it. That's it. Come on.
The closer we got to it, the distance just seemed to go further and further and further. It seemed that we were never going to get there. A lot of sweating, a lot of reassuring Shannon we'd be right. So, it's pretty harsh.
It takes 4 excruciating hours for Matthew and Shannon to finally make it to the tower. It's a rickety old structure, but his only hope of gaining enough height to get a signal and call for help.
The dangers of climbing a mast, falling, breaking my neck, leg, whatever. Just didn't think of it, just did it.
Careful, Daddy.
I had to get the highest point that I could to see if I could get signal from a mobile phone.
But he's just so far out in the desert that even at this height, there's not even the faintest signal.
So I stuck it back in my pocket and climbed back down the mast. Disappointed.
It's okay. Yeah.
It's their 5th night out in the wilderness, and they now face yet another challenge. The temperature suddenly plummets to below 0, and without their tent, they're at the risk of hypothermia.
That night, the temperature's dropping. It is freezing cold. It's getting colder and colder on hard ground. I kept building fires so Shannon could keep warm. I wrapped myself around her to try and get my body heat into her. I couldn't sleep at all. I was too worried about getting us out of there. And even though Shannon was there with me, I just felt so alone.
Matthew and Shannon have been living on scraps of food and sips of water for nearly 3 days.
We're virtually down to no water, and I think we're on our last can of food.
Out of options, they can only sit and pray for rescue.
The helicopter sort of came towards the mast.
Sweetheart! Sweetheart! There's a helicopter! Over here! Help! Hello!
A search helicopter flies by almost directly overhead.
Over here!
But in the vast expanse of the desert, they're just too tiny to be spotted.
I just felt devastated. I was just, felt lousy. Absolutely lousy. Just couldn't believe they didn't see us.
In the hope that the chopper may return, Matthew decides to send up a smoke signal.
I was thinking that, why not start a bushfire? surely that would attract somebody's attention.
In the arid outback, the desert scrub is like a tinderbox.
Well, the fire caught a lot quicker than what I thought it would.
Suddenly, the wind changes direction, and the acrid smoke billows over them.
Wrapped my arm around her and pulled her head in towards my chest because the smoke was so thick, we were choking on it.
The fire dies, but the smoke fumes force them to drink the last of their precious water supply. It's also burnt all of their remaining possessions. They're now left completely exposed to the ravages of the Australian outback. It's now been 12 hours since their water ran out. A lack of water will kill an adult within days. But Shannon is just a small child.
It just seemed like we weren't going to make it. Not one thing that I was trying to do to save us or to get us rescued or to attract attention was working.
Careful, Daddy.
Over here!
I told Shannon that if we don't get found today, I doubt very much whether we'll get through tomorrow. I doubt very much at all.
All I wanted was just to go home, and having my dad tell me that that might not happen, that I might not be able to do that, it was quite upsetting for me.
It made me feel useless. It's a big letdown for yourself when you feel like you can't provide for your daughter in the way you should.
Matthew decides that their only hope of being spotted is to strike out in the direction from which the helicopter came.
The reason I thought of going down towards the open ground, people that have more of a chance to see us.
But walking on in the blazing midday sun only dehydrates them further.
The heat, flies, mosquitoes at night, dust. No sleep for 3 days and nights. I was stuffed. No other way of putting it. I was absolutely knackered.
Shannon can take little more. The heat has exhausted her, and she's now so weak she can barely walk.
I wished that I had the energy to be able to pick her up and carry her, but I didn't have that. I might take 2 or 3 steps, but yeah, that was it. I had to put her down again. I couldn't do it. That's probably a very, very hard thing for a dad to, or for any person, I'd say, to be able to understand that you can't pick your own girl up, you can't pick your own child up and carry her. You just don't have the energy to do it, and that's a pretty hard thing to come by, to understand. Very hard.
It's now been 24 hours since Shannon has drunk any water. Desperate, Matthew considers a terrible option: giving her a drink of his own blood.
That idea came from watching documentaries on telly. I know there's some African tribe over there that can cut the vein on a cow and drink the blood from it. I got the knife and I put it on my wrist and applied some pressure. But it didn't happen, and I realised that my knife was just way too blunt.
What are you doing, Daddy?
Oh, nothing, sweetheart. It's okay.
It was sort of a last resort, really, you know?
Matthew had wanted this weekend to be a very special one with his precious daughter. Now he knows that without water or rescue, she could be dead within hours.
Yeah, we had a big cry together, even though there was no tears. There was a lot of sobbing, but there was no tears whatsoever. We were too dry to even cry a tear. And even to think about it now, like, I feel sad. I feel like I want to burst out in tears, actually. So yeah, you know, it's just one of those things. And I'd hate to ever put Shannon through that again.
Back at her home, Shannon's mum is running out of hope that her daughter will be found alive.
Looking up to the heavens and thinking, you know, if you're there, you know, show yourself by bringing her home. I would have promised everything and anything to have her back safe, yeah.
Their plight is hopeless, but Matthew won't give in till he's done everything he can to save Shannon.
I couldn't sleep. I had to get us rescued, and that was all I was taught. I got a log burning, and I took that out onto the flat and just started waving it around.
Hello!
Just trying to get attention. Somebody's attention, anybody's attention.
Hello!
From out of nowhere, this bloody set of headlights are heading straight towards.
Outback!
The car was coming towards us, and then it just veered off.
Over here!
The driver of the vehicle doesn't see him, and their chance of rescue disappears into the night.
That feeling of elation just got shot down in flames. To see those taillights disappearing into the distance was just the worst moment of my life.
With the chance of rescue gone, Matthew is convinced that he and Shannon will not survive the night.
We'd played together, laughed together, cried together, and now we're going to die together.
All rescue efforts have failed to find Matthew and Shannon McGough, and they've gone 2 days without water in the ferocious heat. Extreme dehydration is causing Shannon's organs to shut down. She and her dad are both close to death.
I doubt very much whether we would have survived an 8th day. Pretty bloody sure of it, actually.
Then, just when all hope is lost, they come across a track. It's where the car must have driven past them the night before.
I was not going to leave the track. We're following it. in the hope that this vehicle would come back or another vehicle had come through.
But Shannon can go no further.
Shannon wasn't saying much at all. Yeah, very, very quiet. I'd speak to her and she'd just shake her head or nod her head up and down, but she wouldn't speak, so disheartening.
Exposed to the scorching desert sun, Matthew needs to protect his dying child from the unbearable heat.
It was boiling. The heat had risen big time. It was hotter than the last few days. And I knew that I needed to get Shannon into the shade. So I dug a hole in the ground so that I could put Shannon in it and then cover her back over. And that would keep her a bit cooler than sitting out in the open.
But in this remote part of the Outback, there's no guarantee they'll see another car for days, even weeks. Matthew knows he may have just dug his daughter's grave.
I was extremely sad because I'd brought my daughter out into this wilderness and that I'd put her life in danger.
After 8 days, battling to keep himself and his daughter alive, Matthew finally gives up.
It was just like, it's hopeless. There's nobody here, nobody can see us, nobody will see us. We were going to actually die of thirst, a slow, agonising death.
Dad rushing back over and waking me up and saying that we'd been found.
After 8 days in the Outback, their ordeal is finally over.
I felt an enormous weight lift off my shoulders. I felt fantastic.
I still remember the car pulling up and this little girl coming out and me just crying and crying and putting her in my arms. And she said, I know why you're crying, Mum, because you're happy to see me. And I was, yeah.
Doctors estimate that when Shannon was found, she had just a few hours to live.
Yeah, I'd say it's a miracle.
Despite their ordeal, Matthew and Shannon are still close and still go camping together.
Dad probably takes more supplies now and we don't go as far, but doesn't really change the fact that we still go camping.
I think there was a stronger bond as a result, although the next time we went camping, I wanted to go down this track, and she said, "Don't you dare, Dad, you stick to this one." So, you know.
One man on a mission to prove he can survive alone in the wild. Woo! Caught in a vicious snowstorm, a fateful slip sends him plunging off a cliff.
I don't know how far I fell. It had to be 30, 40 feet. You have no control. You just hope you land and survive.
Trapped on a ledge with sheer cliffs above and below.
I'm here!
No one even knows he's missing.
I thought, I can't stay here. I'll just dwindle and die. I didn't think I was gonna make it.
Charlie Hedge is beginning the challenge of a lifetime. A solo hike in the Sierra Nevada mountains. With his 50th birthday approaching, he's out to prove he's still got what it takes to survive alone in the wilderness.
I love the solitude. I love nature. I love the outdoors. It's something I always wanted to do. Considered myself being somewhat self-sufficient. And so I think I kind of went up there alone in an attempt to prove that to myself, I think.
Charlie has hiked in the mountains many times before, but always with friends. He knows that going alone will be his toughest challenge yet.
I'm not getting any younger, and I'm not as in good a shape as I used to be, and I just wanted to get lost for a week. Walk away my worries.
Charlie's long-term girlfriend of 7 years, Julie, knows what this solo trip means to him.
Charlie has spent a lot of time, I think, on his own and alone. He likes to go and do things by himself. He got this wild hair, this idea that he really wanted to go and do this. And I knew that there was no stopping him.
I remember we hugged and kissed. She wished me luck, told me to be careful, told me she loved me, and I told her the same.
He's a big kid. Charlie's a big kid.
Charlie has planned a challenging route, a 30-mile circuit which he hopes to complete in just 5 days. His first day's climb takes him high into the Sierra Nevada peaks. Here, 20 miles from civilization, he can enjoy the beauty and solitude. It's just him and nature.
The Sierra Nevada mountains, just a gorgeous spot. Being alone in the wilderness appeals to me because of the beauty. I just think Mother Nature has so much to offer. Unspoiled, quiet. As far as me going solo, Julie certainly had her concerns.
I was concerned that maybe he wasn't in shape for this. He hadn't done a hike this length in a very long time.
But Charlie makes good progress up the mountain. And after a grueling hike, he can reap the rewards of being self-sufficient.
Part of the allure of going up there is fishing. You get high enough in the mountains, and there's golden trout. Catching some fish and eating them that night, nothing beats fresh fish. I felt real good that first day.
In September, conditions in the Sierra Nevada mountains can change instantly and dramatically. But in his enthusiasm to get going, Charlie ignored weather warnings. By early evening, a fierce wind blows in, and his peace is shattered.
Wednesday night, the wind started picking up. And that's the first time I really felt exposed. You know you're alone, the wind's picking up, you're not sleeping, you're wondering, this isn't any fun, you know? I really became concerned for the first time Thursday when it really started to snow and the wind was just howling.
The wind becomes a vicious snowstorm, and Charlie hunkers down for the night, hoping it will pass.
When I woke up, pretty much snow everywhere. Woo! I got up and literally I was half buried in snow. But the weather was kind of breaking.
Although the skies are clearing, the new snow has transformed the landscape. Navigating the route ahead will be a formidable task.
At that point, there's really no trail. And if there was, it was buried in snow. I've been up there before years ago, and it just did not look familiar.
For Charlie, this trip was to be the test of his ability to survive in the wild. But he now faces a difficult dilemma: to cut his trip short and head back down the mountain, or forge ahead with his original plan.
I made the decision to continue. Get up and over the pass and get down the east side. The weather should be better down there, certainly. So I dug the snow out, packed everything up, headed up to the pass.
Charlie struggles on for 2 hours, but hiking blind across the snowdrifts, he's way out of his depth.
It was just very tough. I realized that I might have made a mistake proceeding. But my rationality tried to overtake me, and I told myself, you'll be okay.
Having committed himself to going forward, Charlie continues on over the hazardous pass. But here, the terrain is perilous, and now the weather takes another dramatic turn for the worse.
It really started to snow, and the wind was just howling. It was just blowing in my face.
Despite the worsening conditions, Charlie is determined to complete his ambitious hike. But as the raging blizzard intensifies, he starts to realize that he's in over his head.
While I was thinking what to do, My face is getting all cold from the wind, and I remember just turning around with the wind at my back. I don't remember tripping. I don't remember flying through the air. I just remember I hit my head. I don't know how far I fell, but it had to be 30, 40 feet at a time. You have no control. You just hope you land and survive.
Charlie helplessly plummets to certain death. But a rock ledge, jutting out of the cliff face, breaks his fall and saves his life.
The ledge that I landed on was no more than maybe 6 feet deep and maybe 10 feet wide. I looked up. I couldn't go up. It was too steep. Looked down. It was steeper than heck. I was trapped on a rock. It's just an awful feeling.
Teetering on the edge of a 500-foot drop, Charlie must literally cling on for his life. But the fall has shattered his right wrist and badly damaged his spine, and the blow to his head has left him with severe concussion. Blasted by the freezing wind, his survival instincts kick in.
Soon after, I was just overcome with the pain of my injuries. My whole right arm was just numb from pain. It immediately swelled up. And the right side of my head hurt like mad. I knew that the only way I had a chance to survive
Charlie!
is to get warm. So I wanted to get that tent up and get inside my bag and try and warm myself. I was in such a confined space, there was no room to move. The ground was hard. I couldn't stake it into place and pull it tight like you would normally do. So I finally got in my bag and rubbed myself, tried to get warm and dry off. I distinctly remember, for one split second, realizing how lucky I was to survive. I kind of got warm. I kind of gained my senses a little bit. And I thought, well, I got a cell phone, I could try that.
Okay.
Hello.
We're sorry. Your call cannot be completed. Please call your operator to help you.
And of course, it didn't work. Beep, beep, beep. Because of the lack of the signal.
No! No! No!
I became very despondent because I knew at that point there's no way I'm gonna ever reach anybody from the outside world.
Isolated and trapped on the ledge, Charlie is in urgent need of medical attention. Worse still, he isn't due to finish his hike until Saturday, in a day's time. Until then, no one will even suspect he's in trouble.
All I could do at that point is wait. So I surmised that if anybody's gonna come looking for me, they're gonna wait 2 days. So my job at that point was to try and survive and bide my time until Monday.
But Charlie's food supplies are running dangerously low. He only has a handful of snacks left.
I knew I had to kind of ration what little food I had left, which is mainly trail mix and granola bars. I was hungry all the time.
Once his food supplies run out, Charlie knows he won't be able to last very long without help. As night falls, the temperature on the mountain plummets to below freezing. Physically and mentally drained, Charlie desperately needs rest. But pained by his injuries and balanced precariously on the tiny ledge, he's too terrified to sleep.
I quickly became aware of how uncomfortable this ledge was. If I fell off the front, I would have tumbled several hundred feet. I just could not sleep. I don't think I slept the whole time. Most of all, I was scared. This solitude that I was so much craving turned into feeling alone. There's a big difference between those two. So I became very frustrated, very kind of angry at myself. And most of all, I was kind of scared about where I was and how in the heck am I ever gonna get out of here.
In the fall, Charlie lost all his precious water. Without anything to drink, his condition will rapidly deteriorate.
I was thirsty. I hadn't had a drink of water probably in, 10, 12 hours. And so it occurred to me, well, I could melt some snow.
Charlie is surrounded by snow, but he must melt a huge amount to get just a tiny drink to quench his thirst. And it means he has to venture out onto the icy ledge and risk plunging to his death on the rocks 500 feet below.
Getting out of the tent was precarious because of a lack of room. The edge of the ledge, it was kind of rounded off to nothing, and it'd be easy to slip. So I had to be real careful. I had to fill up my pot of snow first, then bring it in, and then start boiling.
It's a lifeline for Charlie, but he has only a limited supply of fuel. It's essential he makes every drop count.
And you boil a pot full of snow, you only get about this much of water. It was quite the effort to melt snow just because of my hand, and I didn't have much fuel. Once I did melt snow, that little bit of water sure tastes good.
Charlie's meager water supply is enough to sustain him for now. But he will have to keep melting vast amounts of snow to stay alive. Back home, his girlfriend Julie is wondering if he has successfully completed his solo hike.
Charlie was due to come out on Saturday. I was looking forward to seeing that, hearing from him and seeing that he'd made it out.
But there's no sign of him at the agreed rendezvous point.
I suspected that he was just delayed because of the weather and that he would be out soon. We didn't think it would be unreasonable to wait one more day. You know, maybe he needed an extra day to get through. And at that point, I really wasn't terribly concerned.
For Charlie, this solo mountain hike was a self-imposed test before his 50th birthday. But his desire to push himself beyond his ability has left him facing the prospect of dying alone in a freezing wilderness.
It was just unbelievably cold. You are just chilled to the bone, and it plays games with your head. You're almost on top of the world up there, and the wind was just howling. You're alone. I was really questioning my motives, my desire about being up there.
Charlie survives a second torturous night without sleep. But after 48 hours trapped and critically injured, he's desperately weak and is starting to suffer the effects of dehydration.
You stop urinating, your mouth becomes dry. I knew I had to melt snow in the morning and melt snow in the evening, but I only could do it at those times because I only had limited fuel.
In the freezing cold, lighting the stove is already an awkward process. But with Charlie's shattered wrist and suffering a concussion from the blow to his head, it's become a potentially lethal mission.
In trying to light the stove, I spilled a little bit of gas, and so I mopped it up with my bandana. When I finally did light the stove, the gas beneath lit on fire. So I grabbed my bandana, which was already wet with gas, in an attempt to put it out. That lit on fire, burnt my hands. I released it, and it started my tent on fire.
The fire has burnt the last of his fuel. His only way to produce water trapped on a tiny ledge, hundreds of feet high on a sheer rock face. After waiting an extra day to see if Charlie would show, Julie knows something has gone badly wrong. She alerts the police, and a search has begun.
There was a group of over 20 people geared up and ready to go. 3 helicopters, a dog team. I felt worried for him, wondering, did he fall? Did he get hurt? I was very concerned about his food and water situation. Being that he had only planned for so many days, I was completely consumed. That was all I was interested in, was finding Charlie.
After 48 hours, stranded in sub-zero temperatures, with a broken wrist, damaged spine, and severe concussion, Charlie finally hears a sign that his ordeal could be over.
I heard some helicopters. They were quite distant at first. they became louder and louder. So I heard them, couldn't see them. And they became louder and louder. I had a sack on the end of my fishing pole, just in case I did see somebody in the air, I could wave to them.
But from the air, Charlie is a mere speck in a vast mountain range. This could be his only chance. Despite the pain of his damaged back, it's vital he makes himself visible.
I shouted, but it was useless because it's so vast out there.
I'm here! I'm here!
The whole time I just sat outside, hoping to spot them or they would spot me, but I did not see any helicopters.
I'm here!
The sound of rotor blades is tantalizingly close. But hours pass, and Charlie catches no sight of an aerial rescue.
It just felt awful. I was on the face of this one steep mountain. They were on the backside. I know I'm not gonna see anybody, so I was really concerned and scared.
It's a bitter disappointment. Alone and helpless, Charlie can do no more than hope he survives a third freezing night, trapped on the ledge.
I had this little map that I jotted notes on the back. It was like, you know, a little journal, so to speak. I recall noting that it was probably the worst day of my life. I started thinking about being home, being with Julie. I wanted to get back to normality, you know?
My focus was wondering what he was going through and how he was feeling. I was safe. My main concern was always Charlie and what he was going through, what he could be potentially experiencing.
I was really down at that point because I knew I might not make it out unless somebody comes finding me. I knew I was lost. I knew I couldn't go anywhere.
Charlie Hedge has been trapped on a rock ledge for 3 days. With severe concussion, an injured spine and shattered wrist, he's in urgent need of medical attention. But search helicopters have failed to spot him. Dehydration is seriously weakening him, and his food supply has all but run out.
I was very hungry. I lost all my food Tuesday morning. I didn't know what I was gonna do for food. There was no nuts, no leaves. There was nothing around. There's rock and snow. Starving to death at that point became certainly a possibility. It was a desperate feeling. I really do not want to feel that way anymore. The whole ordeal was just extremely terrorizing. I was scared. I was in a lot of pain. I was feeling alone.
But the silence on the ledge is broken once more. It's a glimmer of hope.
Over here!
I heard the helicopters come back. It was so loud, I knew they were so close. I knew they were just up over the ridge. And then I even saw one briefly coming in sight out of the ridge line.
Over here!
And disappeared real quick.
A second attempt to find Charlie has ended in failure. He knows his girlfriend Julie has details of his planned route, but he can't understand why the helicopters aren't searching closer to the path from which he fell.
Things became real quiet. And so Tuesday afternoon, I thought they quit looking for me. I didn't hear a thing.
The helicopters fly on without spotting Charlie. He turns again to writing his journal on the back of his map. But this time, he takes a closer look at the route he was supposed to have taken and makes a shocking discovery.
I finally realized, looking at the geological features out in front of me, I realized that I went over the wrong pass. I was not facing east on Italy Pass. I was facing north. So I was on the wrong pass.
It's a devastating blow. Charlie knows the helicopters are looking for him in a different valley. All hope of rescue is gone.
Realizing that, thinking that they quit looking for me, I thought I had to, I can't stay here. I'll dwindle and die.
Charlie faces his fourth night on the mountain. Without food or water, he knows he can't survive another day, and there's little chance of rescue. It's life or death, but can he save himself?
I was certain that they stopped looking for me. And so what am I gonna do now? I thought, I'm gonna have to try and get out by myself.
Pinned to an icy ledge, Charlie Hench realizes that rescuers are looking for him in the wrong place and may never find him. He must take action or surely die. His only choice is to attempt to scale the sheer rock face, despite his injuries.
I went into panic mode, thinking, if I'm gonna survive this, I gotta try and get out. I knew I couldn't go down. It was out of the question. And I kind of surveyed the landscape above me. And I said, I'll try this way, up and to the left, as I face the mountain.
But with a badly damaged spine and broken wrist, every inch Charlie climbs is agony.
My hand is broken, so it's most difficult. You're kind of hugging these rocks one-handed. It was just very tough. I made it under, around, over these humongous boulders. I scrambled over, 3 or 4 rocks. and then just I couldn't go up anymore. Didn't know what to do, so I just sat on the rock right where I was kind of like trapped. I was trapped on an even smaller rock, and I thought I couldn't go down and couldn't go up. I was literally stuck even in a worse spot. And it was early evening, and so I didn't know what to do. And so I made the decision, well, I'm just gonna stay here. What else can I do?
Charlie's shattered wrist and weakness from dehydration make scaling the near vertical cliff face impossible. Away from the shelter of his tent, he is now totally exposed to the icy wind, and the temperature plummets.
It was just so uncomfortable. Not only could you not sleep, but you're just uncomfortable in the position you were. And I thought it was, I didn't think I was gonna make it. A, I was so uncomfortable. B, they stopped looking for me. So I just laid awake all night, looked at the moon.
That was the darkest time, I'd say. I was very discouraged at that point. I did not sleep well during those nights. I thought something had happened, that I would never see Charlie again.
As the night wears on, exposed to the freezing temperatures, Charlie risks dying of hypothermia.
It was the longest night of my life. I had to stay awake all night. Didn't have to, had no choice. I wrote a few things out, like a lousy attempt at a will, because I thought it was all over, and I just kind of, divvied up the little things I have to people I know and love. It's an awful feeling.
Against the odds, Charlie survives the bitter night. But the ordeal has taken its toll.
I was not going to spend any more time on this rock, and so I chose the lesser evils, which was the ledge. And I'm looking forward to climbing back in my bag, and I was gonna write some last words. So I scrambled my way back down. It took me 20 or 30 minutes with one arm and 2 feet and hoping for the best.
But just as Charlie has all but given up on life, he finds a last possible lifeline.
I'm thinking maybe I could start a fire. It never occurred to me to start a friggin' fire. Maybe I could light a fire, as a signal for another helicopter or other hikers. But I didn't have much. I had some old magazines, and I had some plastic slippers. I figured, well, plastic sandals might smoke. but I had like 3, 4 matches left. My hands were just all torn up. My wrist was broken, so I think I tried to strike him with my left hand. First match, you know, lit and wouldn't light the paper. Second match got wet because my fingers were so wet to begin with. I forget what happened to the third match. And so at that point, that's when I started to say, well, I'm just gonna maybe go to sleep. I was so tired.
Back home, Charlie's friend, Dave Gra, is growing more concerned about the failure to find his buddy. As a trained pilot, he decides he needs to get involved in the search and try to save his friend.
Tuesday night, I think I woke up several times during the night and couldn't help but think of Charlie and thought that, well, I need to do something.
35 years earlier, Dave's brother got lost in a storm hiking the same trail that Charlie has been following. He has a hunch that the helicopters have been looking in the wrong valley.
I was thinking about my brother's accident. If it's snowing or windy or something like that, it can be downright dangerous. It can be fairly easy to get lost. So I had to climb very, very hard and still had to probably circle around a bit to get up over the mountains. Look down and try to scour the rocks for someone that might be stuck there.
But this aerial search also ends in failure.
I couldn't help but be disappointed that he wasn't there. I wasn't going to find him, and that probably was not good given the weather and the time that had gone by.
After almost 6 days, trapped alone on an icy rock ledge, Charlie has given up all hope of surviving his ordeal. Death itself now seems a welcome escape.
At that point, I'm so depressed and tired and hungry and dehydrated, thinking no one was looking for me anymore. So I was really in despair. I was just totally numb. It was probably my lowest point.
Charlie knows that rescue teams are looking for him in the wrong place, and that no one will find him. It's only a matter of time before he dies.
I was a beaten horse, you know. I had a buck knife, and I thought it'd be easier if I ended. I never would have done that. I got too many friends that love me, and I love life too much. That's no way to go for a man like me.
Just weeks away from his 50th birthday, this trip was supposed to rejuvenate his life. Now, Charlie waits for a slow, agonizing death.
I hear this plane, and he's above me. this guy is, you know, almost at my side. And so I got my fishing pole with my stuff sack on, and I'm waving it. I'm here. And then he goes by, and I wasn't sure he saw me. Over here! So then he turns around, he comes like right toward me again. Wave my bag. And he does the wing dip, you know, like you see on Star Wars and that. And I just thought that was the best thing that ever happened right there.
After nearly a week, trapped alone on a small rock ledge, Charlie Hench is finally found. Following a gut instinct, his friend Dave decided to search the far side of the mountain pass, close to where his brother was lost, one last time.
Well, it was pretty amazing. I mean, I guess Charlie could be described as a needle and the mountain's a haystack, and I did find that needle in a haystack. I've actually been to the ledge where he was stuck, and I've been there during the summer. And it's a pretty scary place. Charlie could have been killed. My experience in that whole thing is that it turned out good. I mean, Charlie and I have quite a bond that we wouldn't have had before, and that's something pretty special.
When we got the call that they found Charlie, I mean, it was pure just elation. We both just fell apart, and you could just hear it in his voice that it was pretty traumatic. So I was just very thankful. He's a survivor. That's just, he's a tough guy.
Charlie received emergency treatment for his broken wrist, lower spine, and head injuries. And when he returned home, was welcomed like a hero.
I finally got back to town and saw Julie. I was just thrilled. She's a big part of my life. And I was just very happy to see her. It was just the little things that kept me alive, that I wanted to return to, that I love so much.
When Benedict Allen and his dog Cashew set out on the adventure of a lifetime, his childhood dream soon becomes a battle to survive.
Suddenly I found the situation out of control. Wham! I was having to fight for my life.
Stranded and alone, he must fight his way through 100 miles of the most inhospitable jungle on Earth.
This place seemed intent on killing me.
He must face nature's most deadly predators.
Terrifying, waiting for something that was going to spring out at me.
Come on!
And endure the madness induced by the forest.
This was a dream that I'd followed very selfishly, and now it was going to be the death of me.
Come on, now!
22-year-old Benedict Allen has always been a dreamer, and he's living his biggest dream yet. He's following in his father's footsteps and becoming an adventurer.
My dad was a test pilot, and it was very exciting having this glamorous father who used to fly these planes over the house. And I just assumed that one day I'd be an adventurer of some sort, just like my dad. I just wanted to be like one of those great explorers like Cook or H.M. Stanley or Livingstone.
And for his first expedition, Benedict has come to the greatest wilderness on Earth, the mighty Amazon rainforest.
As a child, I read in my books about El Dorado, which was this mythical land of gold. But no one found El Dorado, and I thought one day that would be my destiny.
His companion for this epic journey is a stray dog he's befriended along the way.
I was lonely, and that dog reminded me of my dogs at home. And I called him Cashew, which was Indian for dog. So he was simply dog to me. But he began to be more than a dog, he began to be my friend.
Despite his youthful enthusiasm, this is Benedict's first major adventure. He's attempting to traverse over 1,000 miles of dense, uncharted rainforest. So he's relying heavily on 2 local guides to help him survive.
They taught me how to feel comfortable in the forest, which to me was a confusing place. They began to show me what I could eat and what I had to avoid, how to hunt. I was utterly dependent on these 2 men and their extraordinary library of knowledge, because I knew nothing, absolutely nothing.
For 3 months, they head deeper into the vast rainforest and are nearing the supposed location of El Dorado, the city of gold. But Benedict has been warned of the dangerous illegal miners that have been drawn here. And there are troubling indications that they are not alone.
The signs were ominous from the beginning. The water, just empty cachaça bottles. Cachaça's a sort of cheap rum. There was a sense that there were outsiders in the forest. I'd been warned that these were bank robbers, thieves, people accused of murder. They'd all headed off into the forest because here was a chance of making a quick buck.
Despite Benedict's trepidation, they must find a place to camp as night is falling.
We went off through the trees, and suddenly we stumbled across this small settlement. But whereas I was worried, my 2 Indian guides were absolutely entranced. I remember one of the Indian guides picking up a can opener and wondering what that was. Suddenly, this character, Mendez, arrived. He was the classic gold miner. And I just felt I've got to get out of here.
¿Qué estás haciendo aquí, entonces?
Estamos buscando El Dorado.
¿El Dorado?
Estamos viajando al sur por la boca del Amazon.
No, mi amigo. Si viajas para allá, muy peligroso. Los rápidos están lucidos, pero puede ayudarte.
Mendez said to me, look, I'll be your guide. I'll take you down the river towards El Dorado. Furthermore, I know a track. You'll be able to walk from the river to the outside world.
¿Está bien? Divertimos.
And I thought, well, maybe I've misjudged this gold miner. Maybe he isn't that bad. But I thought I should go along with this plan. I'll be heading in the right direction at least.
Bien.
Benedict reluctantly agrees to the offer and settles down for the night. But as the night wears on, he has a growing sense that all is not what it seems.
That night, I woke up in my hammock feeling that something was wrong. Just an uneasy feeling, and I remember thinking, I've got to check on things. So I put on my boots, potted down to the river to see if my canoe was still there, see my supplies were there. I think effectively I was making sure that my exit was okay. And I heard this conversation going on between Eduardo and Mendez, and they were discussing me. They were saying, why don't we go and slit his throat right now?
Porque no rajamos la garganta ahora.
Los indios que tendrán problemas si lo matamos.
No. A ellos le dan igual.
I had a rising sense of fear, and adrenaline began thumping in my ears.
Venga, lo hacemos ahora.
¿Quién va a ser?
No lo haré cuando está durmiendo.
And I realized I'm just going to be killed. These are my last moments alive. I just thought, go, I have to run, get out of here. Gathered my hammock together, my mosquito net, ran to the canoe. And suddenly, I was in the darkness in my canoe with my dog.
And with his loyal friend Cashew, Benedict makes it away from danger.
My first thought was relief. Then I had this terrible, dawning realization that I wasn't safe at all. I was surrounded by forest. It was the middle of the night, and I was very, very alone.
Without his guides, Benedict is now stranded in over 2 million square miles of rainforest, with no one to show him the route out.
I really was not at the end of a nightmare, but at the beginning of one.
Cashew. Let's get out of here, boy.
I paddled upriver for maybe an hour, and I thought, I'll just calm down, I'll just pull into the side. Made a little camp and thought, I've got to come to terms with this new situation. And the situation was, my childhood dreams were over. And I felt, I've got to get out of here, got to get out of here. And there was blood pounding through my head. I did not know what was out there in the forest. And I didn't know myself, really. I didn't know whether I had it in me to survive. As the first light came up, I could see this forest, absolutely immense, and there I was in the middle of it, absolutely alone. It was terrifying that first morning. But after a little while, I thought, no, come on, pull yourself together. It's the first day. So I began looking at my supplies, trying to work out whether I had enough to get me out of the forest.
Good boy.
And by Benedict's estimations, he has enough rice, sugar, and dried meat to last him approximately 2 weeks. And he has a mosquito net, a machete, and a survival kit. All the basics he needs to stay alive.
If I wanted to see my mum and dad again, I was going to have to take a chance on finding a trail out of the forest, and that's the option that seemed to be the only sensible one.
But Benedict knows that searching for a route out of the forest means heading off into completely uncharted waters.
I was actually going into the interior. I was heading upriver. So for the moment, until I found that trail, I was heading into oblivion. As I paddled away upstream, I was feeling more and more hopeful. Then, suddenly, there were rapids. And I remember thinking, come on, Benedict, pull yourself together. You've got to get out of here. Spent a lot of time dragging the canoe through the rapids. It was immensely hard work. It just seemed relentless that I was just fighting all the time this river.
After 3 days on the river, fighting countless sets of rapids, the harsh reality is sinking in for Benedict. He's heading deeper and deeper into the forest, and there is still no sign of the trail.
By the third day, all my early enthusiasm had drained away. I kept on thinking, how many rapids are there? They weren't marked on any map. It just seemed relentless. Physically, I felt a wreck. My hands were in ribbons and blisters all over the place, burns from this rope. The big question mark was how long I could keep on going, and it wasn't that I was running out of food, I was just running out of belief in myself.
By mid-afternoon, it seems Benedict and Cashew have cleared the worst of the rapids. They can now continue to search for a way out of the forest.
I remember starting to paddle my way into the clear water, but I hadn't quite got far enough. Suddenly I found the situation out of control. I started going backwards. It became absolutely terrifying. I realized that I was fighting for my survival. I had to keep this canoe upright. But then, wham! The canoe shattered with the impact. Everything now ended up in the water. The dog, the supplies, and me. It was a moment of absolute terror as I realized not only was I losing my possessions, but actually I was having to fight for my life. I was gagging on the water, trying to get my breath. Finally got some purchase and waded my way towards the riverbank. I remember just trying to take in the situation, and the situation was that I'd lost virtually everything I needed in order to survive, and lost my companionship, Cashew, the dog. Yeah, it was a sad moment just because he was my friend, my companionship. He was everything to me.
And as Benedict sits on the riverbank, he realizes that along with Cashew, his hopes of survival are slowly drifting away.
First thing that struck me was I didn't have any food. Then I realized I didn't have a hammock, didn't have my mosquito net. There were so many worries going through my head. Would I end up starving to death? Would I die slowly of malaria? It was difficult to imagine how I was going to end up, but whatever way, it didn't look likely that I'd ever see my family again.
Benedict knows that no one will be looking for him, because his expedition is not due to finish for at least 3 months. And with no food or medical supplies, he'll be lucky to survive a week.
The situation was beautifully clear in a way. If I stayed where I was, I thought I would just die. I thought I've just got to get out of this place. I thought, what have I got to get me out of the forest? There was an old rucksack. There was a water bottle, a machete, but above all, my survival kit. Fishing hooks, fishing line, distress flares, spare compass. So key, simple things. I got out my little notebook and I made a little map. Anything I can remember, I put onto this map.
Benedict realizes that the river is no longer a viable route, and the only possible way out is to walk directly into the jungle and attempt to hike out on foot.
So I drew a little dotted line, and that would be my route out of the forest. And it was a huge, huge moment as I'd walked away from the sunlight into the unknown.
And Benedict heads into one of the most inhospitable places on Earth, the Amazon rainforest.
The forest that I saw seemed a very different forest from what I'd remembered. Very, very thick, difficult to get through. And so I thought, I've got to keep absolutely clear about what I'm meant to be doing.
Benedict realizes that traversing this jungle will be a monumental task, so he'll have to use every last scrap of experience he has, if he is to make it through here alive.
And I reckon I walked absolutely straight, maybe 100 miles. That would take me to the outside world. So I thought, I'm going to count every single pace. When I got to 100 paces, I made a little notch in a stick. And that way, I'd know that I was nearer help.
For hours, Benedict fights his way through the jungle. But as night falls, he can go no further. And when the sun goes down, the searing temperatures plummet. So he makes a shelter, using a technique he learned from his guides.
I thought, oh, it doesn't look too bad, really. I felt a little bit of pride. and then lay down and realised that I was wet. There's more dampness coming up from the ground. I lay there, sweating away, and then felt incredibly cold.
The brutal reality is that Benedict isn't prepared for this at all. In the 100% humidity, he has no way of keeping dry or warm, and with his mosquito net gone, no way to protect himself against the deadly disease he fears the most, malaria.
Then the insects started moving in, and a long night began. I was feeling absolutely terrible, wrung out, because I'd been awake all night with the insects. And I had to light a fire and dry out my clothes just to fend off this clawing wetness which wore you down. I felt very burdened by the forest. I just thought, I've got to get out. I've got to get out of this place.
Benedict resumes his hike towards the outside world, but so far has only managed 4 of the 100 miles he has to traverse. It's been 4 days since he last ate, and he's beginning to weaken.
I was starting to feel hunger pains. And I knew that unless I sorted out some sort of way of getting food, I was just going to die of starvation. I started to think how I could get nourishment from this place that seemed intent on killing me. So I thought, okay, I've got to settle myself down and build a few traps.
And Benedict knows that if you want to trap an animal, you have to find its trail.
You make 2 parallel lines of sticks that you jab into the forest floor, and you funnel the mouse along. And there's a little bit of bait that you put at the end, and it triggers a mechanism, and boom, a log comes down and flattens the mouse, and you get this flat rodent for your supper. It's so time-consuming to even fashion these things, but waiting for an animal to come along, I found absolutely exasperating. I thought, I'm totally incompetent here. I don't belong in the forest, and furthermore, the forest seems to know it. It's almost like I'd been found out. Every species here has learned to survive, and those that aren't good enough die. And I'm going to be next, because I don't know how to cope here. I can't even make a simple trap. I began to dread every evening. It was a question of trying to light fires, then I had to find water to boil so I could drink it. And all of this was taking time when I was already exhausted from trying to make progress through the forest. I used to dread the loneliness of night and wish for the morning again, but in the morning, no relief. I felt like a hamster on a treadmill heading to nowhere.
Benedict has managed to fight his way through 25 miles of jungle, a mere quarter of the distance he believes he needs to travel to reach the outside world. The only food he's eaten are the tips of ferns, but it's not enough, and he's beginning to experience the first effects of starvation.
My hunger was really bad. I felt weak. I was doing less and less miles every day and feeling more and more confused.
And weakened by hunger, his body is becoming too frail to withstand the jungle's constant onslaught.
Insects were more of a problem, and so were the bites. Some of them were starting to fester and weep. All of this was sort of visible evidence that I was being attacked. And suddenly, there was a palm tree. It was a Malaria palm. And I remembered how my guides had taken the berries and they'd made a wonderful purple mush. Suddenly I had all the energy in the world because I saw hope now. I drank down this wonderful, nutritious liquid. God, it felt so good to have my stomach full.
Benedict is so weak that his stomach is unable to digest this rich berry pulp. And as starvation takes a stranglehold, his body is beginning to break down.
It was a terrible situation because on the one hand, I could eat, but if I did eat, I'd feel more sick. It didn't seem to be solving any problem, and it was a sort of hellish situation.
Despite his sickness, Benedict pushes onwards, but he's getting weaker by the hour, and it's not just the result of malnutrition.
Gradually, I realized I was succumbing to something. Sweat was becoming more and more obvious to me. Looking at my hand, I'd see it shaking and shaking. I was sinking into a delusional state because I wasn't able to control my thoughts.
After almost 2 weeks of relentless attack, Benedict has finally succumbed to his biggest fear.
I thought, this is the taste of malaria that I'd always been warned about. And now it's my turn to experience it myself as someone who was exhausted and starting to starve to death.
The malarial parasites are destroying Benedict's red blood cells, starving his body and brain of oxygen. And knowing he faces almost certain death in the forest, his thoughts turn to his family, over 5,000 miles away.
It was a sort of sadness at first, feeling of terrible defeat. I thought no one's going to be able to imagine what my last days were like. I had a feeling also of disappointment. I'd beat my mum and dad. But the truth was, this was a dream that I'd followed very selfishly. And now it was going to be the death of me. As the fever began to kick in, my progress became even slower, and it was becoming a fight just to put one foot in front of the other. And my hope of getting beyond the trees was fading away. Suddenly, I had this feeling that there was something out there, as if something was stalking me. And I thought, come on, Benedict, keep control, you're losing it, you're losing it. Suddenly, I heard this rustle, and my worst fear was that it was a jaguar. And it was terrifying, waiting for something that was going to spring out at me.
Come on! Yeah!
I fired off a couple of distress flares. Bang, bang.
Come on! Yeah!
And nothing. And then I heard a whimpering sound.
Incredibly, after vanishing in the rapids 2 weeks before, Cashew has tracked his old friend through 40 miles of rainforest. And all at once, the horrors of his situation seem to drift away.
It suddenly felt like I'd been given a miracle, a sign of hope that everything was going to be okay again. I had someone who could understand what I was going through. That restored a lot of myself somehow that I'd lost, that had been taken away by the brutality of the forest.
Cashew's reappearance has lifted Benedict's spirits and reinvigorated his determination to get home. But he's desperately malnourished, fighting a killer disease, and rapidly running out of time.
Now, I was 3 weeks into this trek, 3 weeks of really hardly eating anything.
After walking for 70 miles, Benedict is now in the advanced stages of starvation, and the malarial parasites are rapidly colonizing and destroying his body. He knows that his condition is reaching critical.
And I was so aware that I was running out of time. Cashew seemed to be lagging more and more behind. And I thought, I can't have you as a passenger.
Cashew! 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 Cashew!
I began to think, hold on, there's all this flesh on you. But it was inconceivable that he could ever be my food.
Cashew!
As the day wore on, I began pining for water, and I realized I wasn't just starving, I was dehydrated.
Benedict's life is now hanging in the balance. The combined effects of starvation and malaria mean that he must take on more and more fluid, but it's becoming ever harder to find. And whereas a normal person can last 3 days without water, in his condition, he won't last 24 hours.
I was desperately licking leaves, I was licking stones just to get a bit of water into my system, just to sustain myself. I found myself side by side with the dog, actually lapping water like a dog. I thought the animal in me is coming out in order to persevere.
Becoming like you, Cashew.
I was in a desperate state. By now, it was almost impossible just to keep on walking. It was a real crisis point. Mentally, I had less of a grip on what was going on. Where I was, whether it was day or night, what was happening, what was in my imagination. It was very, very clear that I had less and less sense of who I was.
By now, Benedict is so emaciated, and the malaria is so advanced, his brain is beginning to shut down. And as his clarity and sense of self dissolves, he knows that his death is creeping ever closer.
I was in blind terror, really, that these were my last sane hours. I write repeatedly, no need to die, no need to die, no need to die.
And Benedict realizes that unless he eats immediately, this could very well be his last day alive.
One way or another, the moment came when I just thought, this is it, this is the day. The day when I can actually gather myself together, pick up my machete and kill the dog.
Without the nutrition that Cashew will provide, Benedict is a dead man. He now has no choice but to kill his only friend.
It felt like I was an executioner at this stage, but I remember this terrible cowardness of walking up behind it, knowing I couldn't actually face killing the dog in front. I struck it a blow on the head from behind. Suddenly, there was a way out of this hell. For now, I'd concentrate on the most nutritious parts, the kidneys, the liver, heart, and I put them on the fire. I just sort of quietly ate them, and rather sorrowfully, actually.
But Benedict cannot ingest the meat. The malaria is making his stomach reject anything he forces into it. And the realization dawns. He's just used his last chance.
When I thought it couldn't get any worse. It did get worse. I lay on the forest floor, racked by pain. My liver, my kidneys were being attacked. I was fighting just to keep myself sane.
Benedict's malaria has now reached the final and fatal stage. The parasites are aggressively multiplying and destroying his vital organs, causing his body to collapse. Within 24 hours, he will experience first coma, then death.
This was the moment when it could all end very, very quickly. I had this rising sense of panic that I had to get out of the forest. I had to do whatever it took. Whatever happened, I had to keep moving. Keep on putting one foot in front of the other. I kept on going, making pitiful progress, and sometimes no progress at all. Couldn't even think straight. I couldn't even see my compass. At that moment, I suddenly thought, well, I'm just never going to get out of here. It was just too big to fight. And I was losing that fight.
Benedict simply cannot go on. He's just too weak, too ravaged by disease.
It was a terribly lonely moment, thinking this is the end. And suddenly, amongst all this despair, this confusion, this feeling of being trapped in this prison, a sight that will always stay with me. I saw this cut branch. The cut itself was blackened, so it had been cut some time ago, but had been cut by a human. And I realised there was actually quite a few of these branches. This was actually the edge of the outside world. I started investigating, and there was a trail. And then extraordinary thing of just seeing daylight, and it's still emotional to me, just this reconnection with the outside world. Thing I've been looking forward to, praying for, imagining, was suddenly there, and it was absolutely overwhelming. And I found myself in the back of a garden. There, ahead of me, was a little hut, and there was a little man in front. And he was just standing there with a look, not of welcome, but of horror. And that was my last memory.
Having recognized the symptoms of malaria, the farmer nursed Benedict for 3 days before he was driven to a hospital in Macapá, where he made a full recovery. Benedict returned home to be reunited with his parents 1 week later.
My life was never the same again.
And Benedict has been exploring the world ever since, fulfilling his dreams of becoming a renowned adventurer, just like his father.
I've been going off to the jungle, going off to the desert, going off to the Arctic, pushing myself to the limit, trying to touch that experience that I had that was so profound. That has always haunted me, and it's something that'll always be with me, and it's steered the rest of my life.